Today's webinar is about a very massive waste challenge that many cities around the world are facing. And we're honored to be joined today by inspiring change makers, Annabel, Charles, and Rashed from Bangladesh and from Kenya, who are going to tell us about the work that they've been doing. Poorly managed waste in cities and towns has really lifelong implications for children, for their health and well-being. Not only does it pollute the soil, the air, and the water, it also clogs drains, causes flooding, transmits diseases, increases respiratory problems, harms animal life, and harms ecosystems. It's important to note that children in urban poverty are particularly affected by poor waste management in cities, especially those living near waste dumps, working in the waste sector, living in and near informal settlements and slums. They're a lot more regularly exposed to waste and really suffer from this poor waste management. It's important also to note that informal waste pickers are often children. In many cities around the world, because of their small and nimble hands, they are picking very delicate waste and form a really large percentage of those involved in informal waste picking. Electronic waste is a highly toxic, and it's become a much larger issue in recent years and affects children, pregnant women, and those working near e-waste disproportionately. So with that, I just want to end my short introduction by saying that waste is a really complex problem that requires a whole of society action. It requires actions by individuals, by civil society, by change makers, by governments, by the private sector, by everyone in order to advance waste management. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Asha, who will be chairing today's session. She will be introducing herself as well as the speakers. Over to you, Asha.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And a warm welcome again to all of you on this very important subject that's going to affect not only our lives, but also the lives of future generations. So we're going to talk about youth-led solid waste management. Nikita, we want to start with a couple of questions just to get you to think about the subject and what you know about it already. Let me say give you a short introduction about myself. I've just landed in Zurich in Switzerland, but I live in Almora in India. And we started an environment protection organization called Green Hills, in which we have also been doing quite a lot of things on waste management. So I'm happy to be able to moderate this session and maybe share a little bit of what we've been doing later on. But let's start with this quiz, Nikita, please.
So we have the first question on the screen right now. So I think about 70% of the participants have already filled in the answers. So I'll close the question and maybe I'll share the results first before we move on to the second question, Asha. So here is what the audience today has said about the waste generated per person on an average.
So generally we think it's around 500 grams. And some think it's about a kilo. Okay, it's between 500 and a kilo. That's quite right. Okay.
Okay.
And the next,
so let me...
do you want to share the slide first on this before moving on?
I'll just get the second question first, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So the second question is here about the municipal solid waste generated worldwide annually. please take a guess if you don't know, and we'll discover more about these facts and figures.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guess.
So here are our results of what the people here think about the waste.
So 53% think that it is 2 billion tons. And if we look at what the World Bank has estimated, it is almost exactly that. So this is an infogram taken from a recent estimation of the World Bank that says that we generate 2.01 billion tons of municipal waste annually. And it's going to increase by 70% to 3.4 billion by 2050. So you see how important it is to work on this problem so that we don't have the planet Earth invaded with our waste. As far as the per capita kilograms per day are concerned, 750 grams is the worldwide average, more or less. And do we have the figures for the different parts of the world? No. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow the map is not displaying here. I don't know why. But maybe I can zoom in here.
Yeah, can you see the... So you see that the South, the countries of the South generally produce about half a kilo, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the America and Australia, of course, go up to 1.5 kilo a day of waste. That's a huge amount. I think in India, we're closer to half a kilo. Huh? No, yeah, between half and 50 to 99. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see what we can do about it. We have two very energetic and dynamic, three people actually, two from Africa and one from Asia, who have tried to really do something about this waste problem. So I will pass where is Annabella? Is she online? I don't see her.
Annabel is here.
Okay.
Annabel? Yes.
So Annabel and Charles are from Kenya. They're working in Nairobi on the public space network in Dandora, and they will explain firstly what they have been doing, their journey in trying to solve the problem of waste and the lack of services in certain parts of Africa. Annabella, over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here today. We're really excited to be here and to share the work that we do. As she's mentioned, I'm an urban planner and also coordinate the programs at Public Space Network. And at Public Space Network, we're very passionate about creating spaces that work for people. So I'll just share a short presentation here as well on basically what we do and how we do it. And I think one of our ethos is normally we transform minds and then we transform spaces. And we really believe that to improve the quality of life for a community, there's no bigger or faster of improving this without improving the quality of the public spaces around them. I'll just give a moment for Charles to introduce himself, then I can go through the slide and then he'll speak a bit about our work later. Charles, are you able to introduce yourself? If not, it's okay, I can go ahead and then I know he'll introduce himself later. And so over the years, we've done a lot of work towards this, and some of the examples that are shared. And despite our focus being on public space, solid waste management is a huge part of getting this green public spaces from the areas where we work with, from the communities that we work with. And just an interesting figure from what you're sharing before was the per capita. I think in Kenya, the waste that is produced per capita is around 11 kgs, compared to around what 29 kgs is for the entire world, which is now also something interesting to note on the same. And just speak about how we started. So we've been doing this work since 2014. Through an initiative known as the Changemakers competition that was really geared towards having youth come together and changing public open spaces around them, transforming them into green, clean, and safe spaces. So how did this start, and how did we get the movement going? It's because we were able to get the youth to mobilize themselves and organize themselves through a game. So they would take up this initiative on their own. They'd actually identify spaces which have been neglected. These are dump sites or landfills that are not designated for throwing away solid waste, and they'd actually identify those areas, clean up the areas, and create green spaces out of them. And they would be able, the one who would create the cleanest, greenest, and coolest space as the person who would win, and they'd win awards for work that they had already done. So we had a really great impact over the years, and we had over 4,000 youth participants through 200 youth groups, and we had over 200 spaces also developed through this, as well as 200,000 people who are positively impacted. And for the edition, we ran for 5 years, the Changing Faces competition for 5 years, and we just had our last edition last year. And we've looked into now creating a project that improves on what we've already done in terms of solid waste in that regard. So just to dive right into how we deal with solid waste and how solid waste is addressed in some of these areas. So you'd find in most of these areas, when you have dumping and when you have a lot of trash somewhere, it's something that has become normalized. It's something that it's okay for me to wake up and find trash outside. It's fine, and it's not, and some would say it's not my role to deal with it, then it's the government's role to deal with it. But what we like to believe, or we like to think, is that action starts with us, and we really believe in community action. How can I get out in the morning and do something to make a difference? And so the items that they clean up or they remove from the spaces that they see, they're able to use them, one, for recycled items, and two, they create now a more sustainable way of dealing with the space. So things like trash bins for recycling, beyond just putting a trash place for people to throw their trash, we are now helping them the communities are able to be educated on what recycling can be and how these trash cans can be used. In the cleanup process already, you see there's a lot of recycling, right? So it's a low cost, high impact interventions that we really look at doing. And in all of these spaces, you can see there are some gumboots that were found on the space and used now to make flower pots. Some old tires are now recycled into some seating spaces. Some of the bottles that were then that were used can be used now for fencing and for beautification and for some really cool stuff that could happen in these spaces. And I think our model or our call is not something very complex. It's just about people coming together and seeing the essence of what they can do to make their communities better. It's really taking action through their leaders, through the transformers, and that's, I think, the most one of the most powerful models is working through the community for them to see the essence of this. And once you transform their minds, then it's an impact that goes long beyond what the spaces are. And in public spaces, what we really stand for is having the spaces designed by the users, for the users. We really look at reducing the impact of climate change to have a positive impact on the environment. So through creating these spaces, if we have enough green spaces in our cities, imagine how that would also help us generally deal with issues such as climate change, and this even goes beyond to contribute to the mental and physical wellness for our children. Most of these spaces you'll find are being used by our children after they're being transformed. They're being used as playgrounds, they're being used as gardens, and children are so excited to have a space where they can go and they could have items also happen there. I think I want to just throw it over, because I know we don't have a lot of time. I'd like to throw it over to Charles. Charles, I don't know if you're on now.
I'm on.
Okay, perfect.
Hello?
So I'd love, hi Charles, we can hear you. So I think you could share the story of how we started, and I'll just be sharing some of our before and after images of the work that we've done. So you could just go ahead and maybe tell us the story of how the transformation process began and what really motivates you as a transformer.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Charles from Dandora, representing Dandora Transformation League and Public Space Network. I was raised in Dandora since 1978, and there were city county officials who used to come and clean the drainages, the parking area, the backyards, all the spaces the county government used to take care. Until 1984, that was the last time we saw them. And people started piling up litter, their garbage, their litter anywhere. And it reached a point, personally, I met a young child who was playing with a used condom, and it really affected me personally. And we were thinking of how we can stop this behavior of everybody littering, use condoms, use diapers, use pampers anywhere. And we came up with an idea to start transforming one courtyard, and this is the one, the photo is shown there, like the one with the name photo before. That was a playground that is in the middle of the court, and we had a small dump site there that had been there for ages, and nobody was minding or caring about that until we came in and we levelized the space, transformed it, and put up the swings, and people now realize that this space can be used for children. Since 2013 until today, that space is very clean, is maintained by the community plus us. And the side you see the picture of after, that is the place that used to be the dumping spot for the area since 1984. And we have 133 houses who have been dumping here. You can imagine if they've been dumping like 750 grams per person for 30 years, how the amount of garbage was there. So when we started removing the dump, we sorted all the plastic, we sorted everything we could get. And in my photo, you can see most of the things that we are using here. Even the sofa sets, the stone sofa sets, these are recycled. So all the sofa sets, and along here you can see the plastic fence. These are also all the plastic bottles we could collect around, and their tires, their drums, their bottles, their gumboots that we do the transformation with. So we transform spaces and we give them in community in style. So we have done this in more than 126 spaces in Dandora, and this alone has transformed the entire Dandora community. Dandora used to be one of the worst areas through crime and through dirtiness, garbage and litter everywhere. The drainages were not running. We unclogged the drainages that were done by the World Bank in 1970s, and we showed the community and the entire government that those drainages still exist, and we dug them out and showed them that drainages are still intact and they are working well. So far, so good. As Annabel has told you, we use mustard seed culture as a model to showcase as a game for the youth to use as they replicate whichever team was to replicate mustard seeds. We'll give them a reward, which we have done for 5 seasons. The last one was last year. And so far right now, we have several other spaces, even the streets, where we put bouncing castles in the streets were not having cabros before. We paved them with the cabro. The first one we did was through through an award we won at the UN Habitat, and we were given some money, and we transformed the street and made one of the street look very fantastic. And we normally close the entire street and put up bouncing castles, music, trampoline, and we make that weekend for the kids. So the entire community now knows the impact of a clean street, a clean environment, and the best for the kids, because the people who use normally and we work with normally every weekend are the kids. Every Saturday, we normally have a small cleanup for like 1 hour where they help us together, we work together, and we show them how we do it. Now, it has become a norm in the community. In my community now, you cannot find any used condom or even a new condom or diapers or pampers littered anywhere. We have litter bins everywhere, stored in the streets and in the courts, and the community love it. So far, so good. And we love what we are doing. And so far also we have had countries like Ethiopia and Guinea-Bissau who want to replicate what we've done in Dandora and in Nairobi to replicate it in their country. So I believe we are in the right track and our heart goes to the children. We are not doing this for us, we are doing it for the kids.
That's fantastic, Charles and Annabel. I really have to congratulate you. As you can see from the chat, people are so impressed by what you've done. And the recycling is innovative. It's really, really creative, you know, using garbage like that. And it's so colorful. I also have to highlight what Charles has said about littering being so dangerous for children, because they fiddle with things that can hurt them, that can cause disease, and getting rid of the litter and replacing it with games is really something that is a service to children. There are a couple of questions for you, which we'll take up in the question time. I'd like to pass the mic now to Rashed to talk about BD Clean in Bangladesh, which was started in 2016 and which has a really, really big network in the country now. Over to you, Rashed.
Thank you, Asha. Hi, my name is Rashed Mostafa. I have been working for BD Clean as a strategic research and development coordinator since 2016.
Can you bring your mic closer, please, Rashid? Yes, thanks.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I'm in the office, so I have to use my
iPhone.
So
no, this is better. Just keep the mic close. Thanks.
Okay. So let me introduce you myself again. My name is Rashed Mostafa. I have been working as a strategic research and development coordinator of BD Clean since the beginning. So thank you for being me here. I would like to start my presentation I would like to share my story with you guys. So what is BD Clean? So BD Clean is actually a non-profit, non-political, youth-centric, environment conscious, community-based platform covered with red-green spirit, relentlessly working to name Bangladesh as the cleanest country in the world. So our job is very simple. We create mass awareness on clean environment and its impact, and to change the culture and the mentality of people about the waste management. So BT Clean is entirely youth-based organization where almost 99% members, volunteers are youth. Our vision is very clear, build a clean Bangladesh. Through regular cleaning events across the country, we create mass awareness about the importance of clean environment and share its impacts to the people. Our goal is to build a clean Bangladesh by raising public awareness towards changing the mentality and habit of throwing garbage everywhere. Our objective of BD Clean is to establish Bangladesh as the cleanest countries in the world and to establish every citizen of Bangladesh as an ideal citizen in the world. It's very colloquial and very formal, so I will go to our history. See, on 3rd June 2016, an average Bangladeshi, the founder of BD Clean, Mr. Fariduddin, he used to be a businessman, came up with a great idea to become the nation's a sense of realization about the cleanliness around us. This idea has now become the nation's largest community-based environment platform. This is the strongest slogan in this community, especially let the cleanliness start from me. See, why it is strongest? Because we believe that cleanliness should start from us, from ourselves, from our home. So taking that into consideration, we keep this our slogan. There are some positive changes for being a BD Clean member. See, our effort is to build a clean and sterile Bangladesh, conducting regular cleaning events across the country and increase the mass awareness about the proper waste management to change people's habit of throwing trash here and there. Apart from that, all the members of BD Cleans are regularly practicing being an ideal citizen, obeying their constitutional civil duties. Nobody blame on each other, so try to avoid their civil duties. And every member believes in compliance with all the laws prevailing in the country. They are encouraged to motivate other people in their locality to create awareness about cleanliness. And anyone of, regardless of age, sex, caste, who wishes to give willing labor is eligible to be a member of BDC. Let's come to a different segment of ours. See, you will be surprised to hear that BD Clean is the largest non-registered uh, uh, social platform in Bangladesh. We have more than 30,000 active members who works every week in more than 119 districts and upazilas in every week. They are active members, and we have more than 1 lakh members who continuously follow us, and they stay with us in rotation. We have covered 8 divisions out of 8 divisions. There are 8 divisions in Bangladesh, so our coverage is in 8 divisions. There are 64 districts in Bangladesh, and we have covered 50 districts so far. There are more than 400 upazilas, so we have covered 69 upazila teams so far. So this is big in terms of Bangladesh point of view. Now the question is how BD Clean has become so big and how BD Clean is different from the others organization. Here are 4 issues, 4 criteria that makes us different from others. So creating awareness with demonstration. I will show you an image of it, then you will clearly understand it more. Then conducting regular cleaning events by setting examples and organizing mega events. So let's take a look some images here. See, here in this picture you will find the BD Clean member is working in lake, in ponds, in roads, in streets. Even there we see a person with a black Punjabi. He is our running mayor of Dhaka North City Corporation. He is a very good patron of ours. So including him, we are working in streets, lakes, and everywhere. So here we are representing people that we don't talk before we do. First, we go to the place, we choose the place, we clean the place, and then we share our effort to the people to make people aware. So this is the caption, creating awareness with demonstration. We believe in demonstration, then we talk. In my next slide, you will see the setting examples. You will find similarities with Nicole and Charles. Um, see, there are few images. We have done almost hundreds of places. We have cleaned hundreds of places like this, and we convert it into a garden. You can see the first image. You will see a garbage, a dump stand. Then we cleaned it and make it a flower garden. And not only that, we didn't move out from there. We continue observe these places for next 3 months. We make people aware that this is your place, this is area, this is your area. So if you don't keep it clean, if you don't take it properly, so you will be in trouble. Your next generation will be in trouble. So this is our job, is to show you the path, and now it's your job to keep it clean. You will see some ponds and canals we have cleaned with our people. It's very risky and dangerous because we don't have enough logistics to clean these places, especially river ponds, lakes, and areas. We didn't have proper equipment for that, so we took support from municipal office. This is our regular events. We never missed any single event in week. Each and every team of ours are bound to conduct weekly events no matter what, no matter COVID-19, no matter natural disaster, no matter what, they are bound to do it. And it has a very good impact because if you keep continue your work and people will see you every time, the youth generation will believe in you and they will come to you more and more. So it is very important for us. Uh, we have blessed with some few mega events, which is the largest in our countries that no one has ever done. This is Shohid Minar. This is a symbol of our language movement in 1952. So this is a very notable public place. People comes and goes here, and it is a very shame for us that that people throws their waste here and there. This is a very sacred place for us. So we took an initiative and we clean keep this place clean for the next 3 months. I mean 90 days, every day 24/7. At least hundreds of our members by rotation stay there and clean this place. but later on there are some issues that we have to move from there. This is the largest university of Bangladesh, Dhaka University. So 2,000 BD Clean members come together and clean this campus in a single day. This is our one of the biggest event that we have conducted in 2016 last. So this is a great achievement. Uh, I hope you people have already heard about Cox's Bazar, the longest beach in Bangladesh, in the world. So Cox's Bazar is a very attractive tourist place. We went there. We didn't have enough money to stay in a hotel, so we asked for the permission to the local stadium, and we stayed there, almost 3,000 members of ours, and we cleaned the entire beach, not the longest beach, but the entire beach that people visited often. So this is one of our greatest achievements. This is a program, this is a competition that we have conducted in school named Clean Campus, Green Campus, where we have selected 1,400 school, college and university campuses, and we have conducted a competition, a cleanliness competition for 90 days competition. So we ask them to participate, keep their campus and surroundings clean, and we choose three winners in each district. So it's a huge buzz for us, and a lot of young people, especially from school and colleges, they have joined with us. So this is a great achievement for us. Uh, you have probably heard about the largest collection of single-use plastic bottle exhibition in South Asia. This is the exhibition that we have conducted in December 2019, where we have collected 3 million single-use plastic bottle from street, from roadside, from lakes, from ponds, through our members, and we collected them in a single place. To commemorate our liberation war martyrs. There are 33 million people have died in 1971. So we have commemorate our, we have tribute them, collecting 3 million single-use plastic bottle in a single place, and we have displayed them few portrait using plastic cap, plastic bottle. Some of them is Royal Bengal tiger, our national symbol. Subhangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of a nation. We have made a boat 19 feet by 17, 1 feet boat. We have a Bangladesh map. So all these things we have made using plastic bottle and cap, and we have conducted this open exhibition in 30 days. 30 days. So this is the first time that we did that thing. And most important thing that we didn't have enough money to conduct this program. So what we did, we have to sell this plastic bottle to a local company who are recycler actually, who recycle the plastic bottle and use them in another use, another issue, especially for probably for the governments. So as we didn't have enough money, so we have to sell this bottle and compensate the expenses. Later on, we made another issue. As we are planning to clean the country, so we have to clean Dhaka city first, and we have to start with a small portion. So we have cleaned a ward, a simple ward in Dhaka city. Around 2,500 members presented out there. So it took only 2 hours, less than 2 hours, to clean an entire ward with our members. So this is a great achievement for us as well. And finally, we did another exhibition, which is the largest of its kind, probably in the world. We have collected 50 million cigarette filters, cigarette butt from street, and uh, uh, conduct an open exhibition in the same place that we have conducted for the plastic bottles. So this is the largest of its kind in the world. So far I have seen, uh, and I have researched on it. So we have conducted this exhibition 30 days, and we know that this is the largest littered item in the world. So here we have portrayed, we have present few portraits where we prepared an entrance gate with the boxes of a pack of cigarette, and we portrayed our lungs using cigarette filter, because you know smoking causes lungs cancer. We portrayed a tree, because tree has to cut down for the cigarette butt. We have also portrayed fruits, turtle to represent ocean, brain that definitely hamper from the smokta. And we keep our Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman portrait, the father of a nation, using plastic cap, because it will be disrespectful to use cigarette filter for his portrait. So we have to merge with cigarette filter and plastic bottle cap. Uh, but the sad story is that we didn't ask anyone to stop smoking, because it's their right. What is our actual message is that you want to smoke, no problem with that, but please don't throw your cigarette butt anywhere, everywhere, here and there. Put it in the right place. And we asked.
Rashed, I'll have to stop you soon. You can conclude, please.
30 seconds more. And we asked for the cigarette manufacturer to come and collect this waste, at least to come and collect this waste to dump, but they didn't even reply or they respond. So this is a sad story for us, apart from good stories. And this is our last program that we have conducted in Lokhipur, another district, which is not big enough. So this is all about our story. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all of your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashed. And it's really important to see the scale of things. No, people get impressed when you have so many millions of things that are collected and show how much litter there really is around you. Both of the projects that we have just listened to have been able to mobilize a lot of people through competitions and also sustaining it. I mean, BD Clean has weekly events, so people are constantly engaged, and that's really important, because many of us, even in our own organization, Green Hills, we sometimes have a one-off function and then no follow-up to it. So the follow-up is really important as well. I'm going to go on to the questions, because we don't have much time, and you'll get a chance to say some more, Annabel and Rashed and Charles, when you answer some of these questions.
Yeah. Rashed, can you stop sharing your screen so we can see all of your wonderful faces for the Q&A?
So let me start with the first question. It is, they say, youth are more aware and taking action around waste. But is this not the role of government to tackle the waste management in cities? What is the role of government, and what is the role of civil society in your view? And I'll take another question, which goes, I'm going to ask this to the Dandora team. Have you received adequate support from the leaders in your country in holding your activities? And would you like more support? So can Annabel and Charles reply to these two questions about the role of government and the role of civil society, and about support from leaders in the community or in the municipality, the country?
Thank you. Thanks for that question. I think I'm still trying to reconnect. I would say one role of civil society and the role of government. The one thing I didn't mention in the presentation before is that we have a lot of garbage that's coming out. And like you just mentioned, how much, whatever the amount of garbage being produced is a lot in each of our cities. And if every day, if we say that we're going to leave it to government to do the work, then we're going to end up with the same thing happening over and over again. So I think the role of civil society, like what BD Cleanup does and what Public Space Network does, is to support whatever government needs to do. Because we really believe that it starts with community action. First, if we come together as a community and say this is what we're going to do, and then we're able then to direct government to help us take things further. I think also one of the questions that had been asked is what we do with the waste afterwards. So if we come up and decide we're going to clean up a certain area, then we're able now to then work with the municipal government. We reach out to them and we tell them, we have this waste that we'd like to be taken to the right place. For example, immediately after cleanup, there's so much waste that needs to be taken to another area. And so we work then with the authorities to get this waste to the right side. Do we have enough support as we'd like? Not yet, for sure. We work mainly with the local leaders who are able to, who not really support our work, but really accept to work together with us to take up these initiatives. But I think there's still a long way of to go in terms of having government taking up the role that they should, and how government can work directly with these youth groups, with the communities, to deal with the waste challenge. So I think there's still a lot of improvement of what can be done to enable this to take further. I don't know if I've answered both questions, or could you please repeat the second question? I'm not sure if I also covered that as well.
It was about support from leaders.
Okay.
At different
Yes.
levels.
Yeah. So I think at the local level, it's very easy to get the support from the leaders, but I think at the higher levels, they still need to get that support in terms of what can be done on the community, at the community level. Yes.
Okay, Rashed, about the question about what is done when you clean up. What do you do with the garbage afterwards? Is there an infrastructure? Because awareness raising is one thing, but then you also need the infrastructure to recycle it, to dispose of it in an environment-friendly way. So can you tell us what happens to the waste you clean up, the waste that you pick up? Rashed?
Waste from our weekly cleaning activities, we have to transfer them into the secondary dumping station. There are municipal office, so we have to take there and we dump there. Regarding our mega event program, as we said earlier, plastic bottle, I have already mentioned, we have to sell this to recycler. But for the cigarette filter, of course, there are some issues. There are some ways to reuse cigarette filters. Probably in India, there are some people who convert cigarette filter butts into usable product, but we couldn't convert it to anything, so we have to dump it in government dumping station.
Right. Yeah, that's often the problem. Let me go on to another question, which actually comes up with a solution to this question about what is to be done with the waste that we collect. Is there any experience with startups, businesses on waste management coming from young activists? I would just like to talk about one experience in India, in central India, in a city called Bhopal. They started there, but they also work elsewhere. It's called Kabadi Wala. Nikita, could you put the
I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they started really small. In 2014, they had just 53 users and they collected 568 kilos of waste. And in 2022, they have 110,000 users and they have recycled 18,000 tons of waste. So how did they do this? They used technology. They used apps to ask people, to get people to sell their scrap to them. Kabadiwalas are the people in India and in Asia in general, I think, that recycle the waste, but they're informal waste recyclers. So they got people to use an app to say, okay, we have paper, metal, plastic, etc. These are the rates at which we will buy it from you. And people ask them to come and pick it up door to door. So that's how it has worked with the Kabadiwalas. And it has been very successful. They've gone from individual houses to companies, to whole municipalities, and they really scaled up in the last 10 years, not 10 years, 8 years. So that's an example to look at. Please consult their website and you can see how it has been done. I will go on to the next question. Is there a sustainable solution? Yeah, I think that Kabadiwala has an answer to this question too. Is there a sustainable solution that is zero landfill with total circularity, which produces significant profit for investors? So can this be launched globally? And has your journey, how has your journey to inspire change been like? So again, I'll ask you, Charles and Annabella.
Yes, I'm really happy
to see
to
us going towards zero landfill in what you're doing, and how have your journey been to inspire change?
Yeah, so I think I'll cover not only within Dandora, because For Dandora, I know there's a landfill that's there, and that's how it's usually directed. But also in other communities we work with, one of the communities is Korogosho, which is quite close to Dandora, and we're seen there right along the river. So there are certain companies that are very interested in waste, especially in terms of river cleanup. So all the cleanup that is done from there is taken to a certain company, and they use that company to make cabro, like the cabro bricks that is used for roads and is used for parts. And they take that up and they heat it, and then they transform them into bricks that then can be used for use within the spaces. They even sold to institutions, to different parts of government, and that creates a benefit for the investors. Then I'll go to another community as well in Nairobi, also known as Kilimani, and we also work very closely with the Kilimani Project Foundation, and they have monthly collection of waste from the residents. So this is more of a middle income neighborhood, but all the residents come up with their waste that they've collected in the neighborhood, along the streets and everything, and then they sort their waste into plastics, e-waste, if you have old TVs, old phones, cables, and textile, as well as bottles and etc. So people pre-sort the waste, and then they take them to the waste collection drive that is done at least monthly in this case. And that waste is then, it's directly picked by those specific companies in the drive. So when you go for the collection drive, those companies are already there and they're ready to collect your waste. So you don't have to do the pre-collection. If you have your waste and you want to come and sort it, you can sort it at a certain point, and then it's taken directly to those companies, and the companies then get the direct benefit out of it. So it's a good way to the one that creates bricks, I think works with 15 community groups in Nairobi. And for the Kilimani Project Foundation, it's also a community organization where people are taking action on their own. So I think these are good alternatives in terms of zero landfill options and more of directly getting that process changed up. Yeah.
Great. There's also a teacher who's asked a question. My pupils have been working with local reclaimers to think about the journey that rubbish takes and how to support them. Basically, how to support informal waste recyclers. Rashed, would you have some ideas on that?
Sorry, can you ask me the question again? Sorry.
It's about support to kabadiwalas.
See, we don't deal with the exchange of waste, because the waste we collect goes straight to the dump station. So
Okay.
very little knowledge about the exchange of waste starting to do a business.
Okay, maybe I can say something there, because we have worked in Bangalore in South India with the kabadiwalas, and we find that they lack capital to actually scale up their business to make it more viable. So we have tried to get the municipalities to give interest-free loans to these informal waste recyclers so that they can pick up more waste and so make a profit out of it. I'll go on to the next question because we're running against time a bit here. Is sustaining youth engagement in your local movements a challenge? If yes, what are some of the ways you deal with it? Rashed, I think that's what you can answer now.
Sure. Yeah, it's a challenge, no doubt about it. It's a challenge. So what you can do, see, I have told you already, a continuous event is a must. This will energize your team members. This will generate a lot of new members. So the more members are there, the more enthusiastic the team will be, and the work will be so spontaneous. So first of all, you have to continue your work every week, no matter what, and then you have to communicate with them over different medias. Normally, we prefer social media, especially Facebook. So we have to communicate with them continuously. We have to work with them. If you're a leader, no matter what, if you're a leader, a senior person, it doesn't matter. So you have to work with them so that they will feel motivated, they will feel encouraged that yes, they're working with us, keeping our shoulder together. We have to give them proper motivation and respect as well for their job. And finally, we have to make them realize that the job they are doing for their country is for their own benefits, is for their own family, is for their generation, for the next generation. So if you keep continue such thing, I think the problem will never be a problem anymore.
Great, thank you. And the last question is about replication. It comes from Nigeria. Annabel and Charles, if you'd like to answer that. How can we replicate what you have been doing in other parts of Africa?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question, and I think it's easy to replicate. One, we have a public space toolkit, just showing you how anyone can come up and transform their spaces. I'll share it in the link where what the process is in one, mobilizing your community, identifying a space that is degraded, and then getting activities towards that cleanup, and then how you can even get the recycled items to be done, how to do recycling through what you do, and how you can use low cost materials to come and create that space and make the space better. I just wanted to add on something important, that it's not just about the cleanup processes. What we saw is that if you clean up, you'll end up having to maybe maintain and clean up every time. If you clean up once, then in a week or so, then it's back to what it was before. So how can there be processes for you to keep that going for long? So that needs you to, one, after you clean up the space, have the whole community take part in it, to be aware of this is how much waste that we are producing. And then from there, we normally say it's good to create a space that's around that. So streets are also public spaces, small spaces are also public spaces. How do you get people to think of this as a space and not just a place they go through every day? And that's what we do, something called placemaking, where now the community does some activation on the street, whether it's painting, whether it's creating something small on that street. And then 3 is coming up with a management plan. So you'll see in Dandora that there are management plans where the youth have organized themselves. There are certain groups who are responsible for doing cleanup, whether it's this week or it's a certain section of the neighborhood, that's their role, and they know that. So there's that management plan of, this is my role, is to maintain maybe this area, this is our work to clean it up, and then have now those continuous activation events, and focus on the sustainability also of the spaces. I think that is key. And some of the things we've done, like in the model street that is done in Dandora, there were shops that were also constructed next to the street. So the youth would get one stall on that street, and on that one stall, there's usually to come with an income generating activity that then can help them maintain themselves and keep this up. Then the other thing has also been getting them to get some more skills that they can go now and work using those skills and then get something for themselves. So this helps them to keep sustaining the spaces, and you don't have to do a cleanup every time. It's only to really activate and get people to focus on that space. So we have the public space toolkit that we'd be happy to share for anyone to look at as well. I know, sorry, just one question that was also asked up here that I would like to cover so that I don't leave anyone hanging. I think there's a question on whether we've engaged Mukuru. I think we're in the process of also growing our network. Anything specific in Mukuru, we could take that up. But I've also talked about how the community is involved in maintaining the space. Yes, I think I've answered the questions. I just didn't want to leave anyone or anything out. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Let me hand over to Nikita now for the closing of this session.
Right.
Nikita,
yeah. Yes. Thanks, Asha. Thanks, Rashed. Thanks, Annabel and Charles, I think, who's lost his connectivity for the time being. It was really very inspiring to hear the stories of the youth by the youth who are leading these wonderful initiatives in, different continents. And this is the power of internet, that we are able to hear stories from, different parts of the world right now, with like Rashid's story from Bangladesh and from Kenya, and Asha between India and Switzerland, and all of us, of course, in different parts of the world. It's really inspiring to hear all of that. Thank you to all the participants who've joined us today. We will be sharing the recording of this session, and we'll send you an email notification once it's up on the website and it's ready to view. I have one small request before everybody leaves. When you leave the meeting, there'll be a short survey form that appears on your window. And if you can help us fill that in so that we can curate better events and, more knowledgeable webinars for you, that's a small request that we have before you close for the day. Once again, thank you to all the speakers and all the participants for attending today. We'll also try to send you a list of all these resources that we wonderfully compiled with the help of the audience and the speakers in our chat box today. So once again, thank you. And with that, I will end the meeting. See you again for our next webinar. Bye.